So far, talked about creativity, what it is, how it shows up, and how it's often misunderstood. We've tackled a few common myths that can hold us back, like the idea that only experts are creative or that people need rewards to innovate. And we've begun to see how design thinking gives us a flexible but structured way to take on complex, messy problems, especially those with no clear solution. It helps us move forward when we're not quite sure where to begin. But that brings us to an important question. What is design thinking really? Is it a process, a mindset, a toolkit? To answer that, let's take a closer look, not just at the steps, but at the philosophy behind them and the values and approaches that make design thinking such a powerful tool for creative problem solving. Design thinking is often described as a problem solving framework, and it is, but it's also much more than that. It's a mindset, it's a way of exploring, a structured invitation to empathy, creativity, and collaboration. Design thinking helps us move from problem to possibility, especially when the challenge is unclear, human centered, or difficult to define. It gives us a path forward when traditional solutions fall short. But here's an important point: design thinking isn't always about finding the answer, it's about creating the conditions for insight to emerge, for new connections, for unexpected perspectives, and for better questions to lead us forward. That's where facilitation comes in. Good design thinkers don't just generate ideas, they generate process. They guide the space for the voices to be heard, patterns to be seen, and creative leaps to happen. Design thinking as a facilitator is a way that can absolutely be a personal approach or a way to clarify your own thinking and find creative direction. It's also a powerful tool for leading others. When you guide a team through a design thinking process, something shifts. It becomes more than steps on a chart. It becomes a shared journey, a way of helping people listen to each other, navigate ambiguity, and co create meaning together. Facilitators don't dictate solutions, they don't need all the answers. Instead, they shape the environment, they invite participation, protect space for curiosity and risk taking, and help others trust the process, even when the path feels uncertain. Design thinking is about controlling outcomes. It's about holding space for creativity to unfold. So one of the other things I teach uh, a lot is storytelling. And storytelling is about history. It's about sharing some other event that we can get some meaning from. So let's look at the history of design thinking, and perhaps we can grow a little bit our understanding of what design thinking really is. Design didn't begin as a buzzword. It evolved slowly and purposefully across disciplines that were wrestling with how to solve open-ended, human-centered problems. In fields like architecture, engineering, industrial design, professionals were already working iteratively, defining challenges, exploring ideas, testing prototypes, and adjusting along the way. But something more intentional was forming. So, 1969, Herbert Simon, a Nobel Prize winning political scientist and cognitive psychologist, published The Sciences of the Artificial. In it, he introduced the idea of design as a distinct mode of thinking, separate from scientific deduction or artistic intuition. He proposed that design was fundamentally about transforming existing conditions into preferred ones. To stop there, design is about changing from what's now to what we would like it to be. So, around that same time, the German design theorist Horst Reidel was grappling with urban planning and social policy. He introduced the concept of wicked problems, challenges that are ill defined, constantly shifting, and often involve multiple stakeholders and conflicting goals. He argued that if these problems couldn't be solved with traditional analytical approaches alone, this idea was revolutionary. Instead of aiming for the right answer, Reidel and others called for a new kind of problem solving, one that was iterative, inclusive, and grounded in real human needs. So let's jump fast forward to the 80s and 90s. The global design firm IDEO, co founded by David Kelly, began forming ideas into practical methodology. So IDEO is a design firm who they designed Apple's first mouse. They designed the toothpaste that stands on the end because of the cap. They designed famously the potato peeler that's really easy to grip. It became the number one selling kitchen utensil. These are all coming from the design thinking process. So IDEO brought together engineers, anthropologists, business strategists, and designers, not to follow a rigid process, but to co-create innovative, user-friendly solutions. They've developed tools like empathy interviews, rapid prototyping, storyboarding, anything to make ideas tangible and testable. So their work, ranging from medical devices to tech products, showed that creative collaboration could solve real-world problems in unexpected ways. One of the famous things that they were able to do is the government of Brazil asked IDEO to rethink K-12 education. So like this idea of design thinking can expand beyond any given area and beyond any expertise. At the same time, Kelly brought these principles into academia, helping launching Stanford's D School. Here, design thinking became a teachable, repeatable framework, one that anyone can use, regardless of their background. So the D School at Stanford is design school for everyone who's not in design. Educators like Tina Seelig, Bernie Roth, Jeremy Utley helped translate into classroom experiences that emphasized experimentation, empathy, and resilience. The idea was simple but powerful. Everyone is creative. Design thinking can help unlock that creativity. Today, design thinking is used across industries. Hospitals use it to reimagine patient care. Schools use it to redesign learning experiences. My design firm, before I came to K-State, we used to design schools. And this is where I first came across design thinking, where I learned to and was certified to teach design thinking from IDEO. Its reach continues to grow, not just because it's practical, because it's human. Design thinking places people at the center of the process. It values empathy as much as efficiency and creativity as much as logic. So at its core, design thinking offers a response to complexity, not with rigid formulas, but with open-minded exploration. Not with quick fixes, but with deep listening, ongoing iteration, and belief that is better and always possible. Now that we've laid a foundation for what design thinking is and where it comes from, let's shift the focus to you. To get things started, I'd like you to head over to the discussion board and introduce yourself. Tell us a little about who you are, your field of study, where you're joining us from, and most importantly, I want you to reflect on this question. What's the most creative thing you've done that others might not see as creative? There's no right answer here, just your experience and your voice. Maybe it was organizing a cross-country meet, planning a surprise for someone, or figuring out how to get your team through a rough week at work. Creativity isn't always flashy. It's often quiet, resourceful, and deeply personal. Let's share and celebrate those moments together. They'll help us see how creativity lives in many forms and how everyone in this course brings something valuable to the table. And just as important as sharing your own story is listening to others. For our learning community to really work, you need to respond to at least two of your peers. Let them know what resonates, ask questions, celebrate their examples. Because reflection isn't just about looking inward, it's also about making connections outward. One more thing before we wrap up. As we move through this course, you'll be working on a design challenge of your choosing. Something real, something that matters to you. We'll walk through the design thinking process together, step by step, using your challenge as the anchor for everything we do. So I'll give you an example. So I use the design thinking process to explore this question. How might we teach design students to engage AI as a collaborator to enhance their expertise? It was a question I was genuinely curious about, something that's real and timely. AI isn't going away, and it made the whole process more meaningful and fun. So what problems do you care about solving? If you already have an idea already, that's great. If not, don't stress. This week is just about starting to think creatively. You'll have time to reflect, explore possibilities, and try a few ideas on before committing. We'll also offer a few sample challenges in case you feel stuck. But I want you to be clear. This project works best when it's connected to doing something you care about. It doesn't have to be world-changing. You're not expected to solve global hunger, but it should be something that keeps you curious, something you want to keep coming back to. So for now, just pay attention. What's bothering you? What could be improved in your world, in your work, in your community? Where do you see opportunities for things to become more human centered, more creative, more effective? And that's where design thinking can begin to make a difference. We'll dig into that more of that next week. But consider this your first invitation. Start noticing, start wondering, start imagining what could be better. Thanks for joining me this week. You've already laid the groundwork for what's ahead by thinking differently, reflecting honestly, and beginning to notice the challenges that matter most to you. Next week, we'll begin with empathy, the first phase of design thinking process, and dig deeper into the people behind the problems we're trying to solve. That's where real insight begins. See you then.